Well, here we are. We made it. Made it to Friday. Let's try and check the watch, seeing what the delay is on the live stream. How long it is before the live stream hits, before I say something and you guys hear it. Gotta worry about what that is, because I want to see how long it is before you guys could respond if I ask you a question. That's importante to me. You guys, you know it's Friday. It's Red Friday. Remember everyone deployed. I got my cup back. My red cup went missing for a little while, but it is back in safe hands. Contact me if you want to see how to get one of these cool cups or cool shirts. I'll let you know. Available, some of it's available on the swag store. Some of it you got to earn. You can't just be given. Can't go buy it. Some stuff you can't go buy. Some stuff you got to find a way and earn it. Happy Friday, Eric. Good to see you. I think I need to. I was listening to Codec the other day. I was listening the other day. It seemed a little loud. I was a little loud. I think I need to crank it back just a little bit. Crank it back a bit so it's not coming through so loud. What do you guys think? Here's Paul. Good morning, Paul, sir. Good morning. Good to see you. Hopefully all is good in your world. Love when technology works. Technology doesn't always work. I'm seeing there different numbers of people everywhere, different numbers of things going on. Glad you're here. Glad you're here on a Friday. I got up this morning thinking, be a couple stories. We'll get a couple stories out. There's not going to be that much. And we ended up with 5. 5 for Friday. 5 for fighting. It is. So that way we'll end the week out. A lot of it, 3 of them. 3 of them patches and updates. So I guess we can't worry about that too much. One of them is just talking about how terrible Bluetooth can be at times. And the last one is yet another chunk of ransomware out there for you guys. Another one to worry about. That is. Oh, Eric, there is some swag, some apparel, like this red shirt, this very red shirt. There's a box of them. They say Cyber-Recon on the back shoulder, between the shoulder blades says Cyber-Recon. And there's another one, the one I wore yesterday said RMFer. That's available too on the swag, which is in the show, in the links, the show notes, the links, the whatever, the down below, down yonder. cyber-recon.com /swag if you want to get your swag stuff. That includes like this red shirt. Red, not red wine, but remember all those folks deployed. Remember everyone deployed. Folks out in harm's way doing things to keep us safe. That's what I gotta say. I was checking the stats. Actually, I wasn't checking the stats. I was checking the YouTubes last night to see if there's any comments, anything I need to respond to before I went to sleep. And I noticed our user count. You know, it's the count of people that are subscribed. What I like to think of as our community. This is the size of our community. The community we're building, this thing we're building that's going to help each of us get better in our daily day. Working the securities out, making sure we're taking care of things, taking care of each other. So this, I thought, was kind of just happened to catch it last night at this number. Channel Analytics is our current subscriber count. 1337. Posted a post last night on YouTube as well. You guys know there's this thing called Leet Speak. That's where, you know, the ultra cool hackers talk, and they use 3s instead of E's and 7s instead of T's, and L's are 1s. That's what we got here. Leet Speak 1337 is a special number in Leet Speak for all the hacker types out there, for those folks doing pen testing and This is leet. Leet. It's the word leet. What is this? Verified Chapo. My friend got his, what is this? Friend got his Instagram account activated and hacked. They texted me talking about 100,000 from the government. Was that like spam? Verified Chapo. Was that like a spam message, or were they trying to do some kind of ransomware? We definitely are talking about speaking Instagram. Instagram's on the list today. We'll be talking about Instagram. So I just thought it was funny that we hit leet last night. Today we went past it a little bit. The community, the collective keeps growing, and that's a good thing. The more people we have, the more people we can have answers to things. I don't have all the answers. I want to facilitate all the answers. I want to put the right people together. It's more people to be mentors. That's more people looking for mentors. I got a request. If you are watching and you put a request in for a mentor, I'm going to get to you. I saw it come through yesterday. Trying to get personal information. Yeah. Fishing, man. Trying to get that PII. Trying to get it. We always have to be on the lookout for that stuff. And hacked. Talking about 100 grand from the government. Oh. Interesting. So, I'm not sure what attack that was. Maybe just a target of opportunity. Verified Chapo. Target of opportunity. They got a hold of that Instagram account and thought maybe they'd make some quick cash. Ola. Maybe is what happened there. So I thought it was cool. We hit leet status and beyond. So we are all, the collective of us, is beyond leet now. We went beyond leet. That's it. It's Friday. There are lots of good things that happen on Fridays. Like, we get ready for the weekend. So hopefully you got good things planned for this weekend. I always say that. I always say, I hope you guys have good plans for the weekend. I do. It's long. You put a lot of hours in, a lot of work getting to the weekend. So let's do fun things. So what we got on the list today, we got some patches. We got some vulnerability in Bluetooth. We got a new type of ransomware, fairly new. And then we got our weird offbeat holiday of the day. So let's get the intro going. We'll start talking about the news. First up today, Cisco is on the patch list. 29. They're calling it Cisco Patch-Palooza. 29 high-severity bugs. 29 high-severity. Wow, Cisco. That's crazy. Really? Need to fix something over here. Always need an engineer, man. 29 vulnerabilities, Cisco.
No effing way.
Yeah, no effing way, man. Cisco System released a barrage of patches Thursday aimed at fixing bugs in the network giant's ubiquitous iOS operating system. The patches plug holes in a wide range of products and address the denial of service, file overwrite, and input validation attacks. The advisory is planned as part of Cisco iOS and iOS XE Software Security Advisory Bundled Publication. This is an article from ThreatPost. 29 of the Cisco bugs are rated high severity with 13 rated medium. Most noteworthy are a number of vulnerabilities opening door for remote unauthenticated attackers to execute arbitrary code on target systems. 2 of the CVEs, tracked as CVE 2020, 3421, and 3480, are both tied to a flaw in Cisco's zone-based firewall. Multiple vulnerable quote here. multiple vulnerabilities in zone-based firewall feature of the Cisco iOS XE software. Could allow unauthenticated remote access and cause device to reload or stop forwarding traffic through the firewall. Obviously, this, you know, when you stop forwarding traffic through the firewall, normally that's a denial service. So we get remote code remote code execution and denial of service stuff going on here. Yeah, Alex, you're right. 29. Yeah, just round it up and call it 30. And that's not all of the patches, though. You know, it's 29 that are high and 13 that are medium. They don't say how many low or informational are in there. Oh, come on, Cisco, man. 13 rated at medium severity. Called local and adjacent attacks. Bugs open to exploit by local and adjacent unauthenticated users also peppered the list of CVEs. For example, one flaw tracked as CVE 2020-3417 impacts any Cisco hardware running the Cisco iOS XE software that allows authenticated local attacker to execute arbitrary code on target hardware. The vulnerability is due to incorrect validations by the boot scripts with specific ROM monitors or ROM-mon variable set. Attacker could exploit this vulnerability by installing code on a specific directory in an underlying operating system and setting a specific ROM-mon variable. A successful attacker could allow a successful exploit could allow an attacker to execute persistent code on the underlying operating system. To exploit this vulnerability, the attacker would need access to the root shell of the device or have physical access to the device. So there are some mitigations in place, but we always worry about these things. It's the fact that they're there, these vulnerabilities are there, and even if they're a second or a third wave of attack or phase of attack on a network, we want to stop that. We want to have this layered defense. We don't want to have gaps in our defense as we move through the infrastructure. Cisco is huge. Cisco's gigantic. Cisco is so many places. So if you got Cisco, okay, Cisco on your network, you're the security person, you're the risk person, you're the cyber person, go to work today. Got Cisco, make sure they're patching this thing. Patch Thursday came out yesterday. 7-year cycle, patch cycle. Get these things fixed. Make sure there's mitigations. Make sure your IDS IPS is looking for these bugs. Make sure that you're looking for them. Got an eye out for this stuff. Cisco's everywhere, guys. Obviously, so much of like an iOS. iOS is a millions of line of code, so it's easy to miss something. But that's why these vendors have to stay on top of these things. Stay on top of these things, keep them patched. It's your environment. It's a couple things you need to do. You're probably not going to be able to patch it today. Patches came out yesterday. Probably your network folks aren't going to be able to patch it today. So see if there's mitigations you can put in place. And see if you can set your network monitoring gear, your IDS, your IPS, those kind of things, to look for the signatures. If you're using Snort or something like that, see if there's a Snort signature out there. Whatever IDS, IPS you're using, go see if there's a signature that can look for these things so you can see them coming in at least. If they're inbound, they're going for your devices. Make sure you have them. Yeah, it attacks the firewall, zone-based firewall feature of Cisco's iOS XE software. Allow an unauthenticated remote attacker to cause the device to reload or stop forwarding traffic through the firewall. Bad juju, man. That's the unauthenticated user. Wait for Alex Cobb comment to come through. A little delay on the YouTubes today. 29 patches for Cisco, yet Cyber-Recon did not need to release any patches this week. That's why I use Cyber. Yeah, we have released 0 patches this week for our vast suite of software. Thank you. Alex always gives the positive spin on things. And we're also low in calories and vitamin fortified here at Cyber-Recon. Not released any patch this week. That's why I use Cyber-Recon for all my cyber needs. Alex, that's awesome. That is awesome. Wireshark's in the news too. This is the new Wire. If you guys have been around a while, this is probably not the Wireshark logo you're used to, but this is the new Wireshark logo. This is the new. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, you're not seeing it. It just looks like a sail from a sailboat on a blue background. Wireshark 3.2.7 was released with a fix for security vulnerabilities and an updated version of MPCAP and QT. Wireshark is known as the world's most popular protocol analyzer. I agree with that. It's used for troubleshooting, analysis, development, and education. Used by network administrators to troubleshoot network and by security analysts to analyze and examine packets. So what we're getting here is we're getting a new version of NPCAP and a new version of QT, right? NPCAP, the packet capture library for Windows. PCAP, kind of PCAP in the other world if you're in Linux, PCAP. NPCAP is the Windows version. Cool, that just helps. That allows us to be able to analyze the traffic on Windows. Got to have that or Wireshark won't work. And QT is a widget tool for creating graphical interfaces. So I'm going to assume that since QT has been upgraded, we're going to see new features, new graphical features in Wireshark. I'm just guessing. That's just my guess. I haven't seen anything new on it. If you don't know Wireshark, we talk about some of the critical tools you have to know in security. I'm talking if you're network security, I'm talking if you're an ISO, I'm talking if you want to get into pen testing or security control and assessment. I think any of the fields in security, security has a ton of specialties you can go into. Any specialty, I think you're going to need to know Wireshark. So put Wireshark on your list if you're new. If you're looking for that list of things you need to know, Wireshark is definitely right on the top of the list. Wireshark and MAP should be the first things you learn after you learn things like, learn your operating system. You learn Windows, learn Linux. Then jump in. Wireshark, great tool. Used by good guys, bad guys, network admins, security folks, all kinds of folks. So many things you can do. So what else fixed here? There's some security vulnerabilities fixed in Wireshark. Some CVEs, 2020s. 25863 is a MIME multi-part dissector crash fix. 25862 is a TCP decoder crash fix. 25866 is a BLIP dissector crash. By exploiting the vulnerabilities, that attacker can crash Wireshark by injecting malformed packets on the wire or by convincing someone to read a malformed package trace file. So if we can, if we know the bad guys there, if we know network admin is trying to see what we're doing as a bad guy, if they could inject a bad packet, they could possibly get Wireshark to crash, and then it's going to take longer for that network admin, security admin to figure out what's going on the wire. A lot of bugs have been found. A lot of vulnerabilities have been found by Wireshark. A lot of times you can see, in the bad old days of Wi-Fi, when everyone used weapon, we'd use the same key. Imagine that, kids, if you will. Security by using the same encryption key. Everything's encrypted, but everything's encrypted with the same key. So if you go to a hotel, back in the bad old days, the hotel would have encryption like WEP, but everyone would be using the same encryption key. So you could pretty much read everyone's traffic. And in cases when, believe this, if you will, I know some of you young folks won't believe this, some wireless networks were set up with no encryption on them at all, just wide open networks. And if you got on one of those, you could fire up Wireshark and you could see everything going across the network. Crazy as it sounds. Wireshark you can sit on a span port, or you can sit on some inline and read people's traffic if it's not encrypted. If it's not protected correctly, Wireshark can reassemble web pages. It's a cool tool. You can read. You'll see an HTTP traffic will come up. You right click on that bad boy and you say follow stream, and it'll reconstruct everything. Great, great tool. Wireshark is an awesome tool. So if you're in security, put that on your list if you don't know it yet. I know a lot of you folks have been around. Old hat at Wireshark. Definitely a good thing. Eric saying, good point, Alex. No security patches from Cyber-Recon. None at all. This is an interesting story about Instagram. In line with Instagram. There was a flaw in the MOZ JPEG, open source JPEG encoder. So this, as you could guess, is impacting Instagram. This is our story. Who's Hacker News? The Hacker News. Ever wonder how hackers can hack your smartphone remotely? Starts the article. In a report shared with Hacker News today, Checkpoint Research disclosed details about a critical vulnerability in Instagram's Android app that could have allowed a remote attacker to take control over a targeted device by sending a victim specially crafted images. What's more worrisome is the flaw not only lets the attackers perform actions on behalf of the user within the Instagram app, so you could post pictures, take pictures down, that kind of stuff, and including spying on the victim's private messages, or even deleting or posting photos from their accounts, but also execute arbitrary code on the device. So break out of the Instagram app and actually do things to the actual physical device. So that's a bad one. According to the advisory published by Facebook, the people that own Instagram, a heap overflow issue tracked as CVE 2020-1895. The score is a 7.8 out of 10. Impacts all versions of the Instagram app prior to 128.0.0.26.128, which was released on February earlier this year. And you may wonder why we're talking about this old CVS score, CVE, CVS. Look at the CVS score. The CVE with this fairly high score. I'm not going to go too much into the details of the flaw because generally it's been fixed. It was discovered by fuzzing it, and it's a heap overflow, so we can overflow data into another part of the application. My big thing on this one is that this thing was fixed like 6 months ago, but nobody talked about it. It was quiet. It was silent. Yeah, and it was intentionally silent. That's what we call security by obscurity. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to obscure the thing. Here in the article, the flaw turns a device into a tool for spying on targeted user without their knowledge, as well as enabling malicious manipulation of their Instagram profile. And the reason it does that is because if it does do the heap overflow and you get access to the device, you can turn the camera and the microphone on. In either case, the attack could lead to massive invasion of users' privacy, that it could affect reputations or lead to security risks that are even more serious. Obviously, they start posting stuff that is malicious or scandalous, then obviously that's how we can hurt reputations. Or we turn the camera and the microphone on at inopportune times and post that stuff to the webs. After the findings were reported to Facebook, the social media company addressed the issue with a patch update that was released 6 months ago. The public disclosure was delayed all this time to allow the majority of Instagram users to update the app, thereby mitigating the risks this vulnerability may introduce. Although Facebook confirmed that there were no signs the bug was being exploited globally, the development is another reminder of why it's essential to keep apps up to date and be mindful of the permissions granted to them. Obviously, now iOS devices are going to say, here's all the data this app is going to gain. Android apps kind of done that for a while. One thing's funny here is this thing was released. The patch went out 6 months ago, and they were silent all this time, and now they're saying how bad it was. And it's that security by obscurity. They didn't want anybody to know how bad the bug was. But my kind of heartburn on this is when they released the patch, they didn't state that there was a critical fix in the patch. They didn't talk about this critical vulnerability. 7.8 high. I'd say high. High vulnerability. It's 7.8. I understand. It's probably not critical, but it's high. It's going to give remote access to the microphone and camera, so that's bad. Definitely bad thing. So I understand they fixed it. I understand why they did it. But if I'm the security admin, let's say I'm at an organization and we use Instagram as one of our tools. I'm going to look at the patch and say, okay, nothing critical in this patch set. Let's get it scheduled for the next 90 days or whatever. Not knowing that this critical vulnerability was in there. So that's my point. I guess the point for you guys, for all of us, is when these patches come out, when we see there are updates that have to be made to our software, go ahead and update those. I know a lot of organizations say, okay, if it's critical, you got like a week to fix it. If it's high, you got like a month to fix it. If it's moderate, you have like 3 months to fix it. And if it's low or informational, maybe you got a year to fix it, or you can fix it whenever you want. A lot of people have these tiered structure for how quickly we install patches. And we may look at a rollout and say, oh, it's just moderate patches, so we'll fix it when we get to it. We'll fix it in the next 3 months. But in there may be one of these things that the company's not disclosing that they want to get updated. So regardless of the impact level, obviously fit into your day. You've got so many things to do, but fit into your day, get things patched as quickly as possible. If you got 90 days, doesn't mean you have to wait 90 days to fix it. If you can patch it sooner, patch it sooner. And that's what I was thinking about this article. The patch came out. You might have said, hey, these are all moderate, or maybe even said, these are all low-rated updates. So, I'll get to them when I get to them. But there's lying in this is this critical patch, this high vulnerability. And I'm not just saying for Instagram. I'm saying across the board. I'm saying Microsoft could do this. Cisco could do this. Apple could do this. Any of the vendors could do this. They could. They look. They go, okay, it's not being exploited in the wild, so let's just put it out there. Let's get it patched. We'll kind of try to stay under the radar and get this thing patched before anybody notices it, right? Another thing we should do when we have these mobile apps is monitor permissions and think twice about approvals. Do I really want to give this application all of these approvals? It's going to say, hey, in this case, you know what Instagram's going to do. It says, hey, Instagram wants access to your microphone. Instagram wants access to your camera. But if you're using a game, and the game says, hey, the game wants to use your camera and your microphone, you should say, why? Why does this game need to have access to my microphone and camera? Think about it before you just click through. And that's really not aimed at you guys. That's aimed at your friends, your families, your coworkers, Let them know, hey, when they're installing these apps, when they're giving these apps permissions to their phones, they could be giving them more than they need. Just think about what permissions you're giving them, because it's good for the attacker. They get this tool on there, and for the normal user, maybe they're just gonna try to spy on you and see if they can get some swanky pictures or listen to you saying something. But if it's on a celebrity, that vulnerability goes up. And if they can override different parts of your phone and get to your banking account or get to other things, other information, of course that's even worse. Even worse, guys. So keep your stuff updated, monitor permissions, and think twice about what you're approving. Do they? When you're installing an app and they don't really need access to the microphone, don't give them access to the microphone. Don't you do it? Don't you do it? Big old article. This is your longest article from Dark Reading. It's in your show notes. I'm going to summarize this one. September 9th, Bluetooth Special Interest Group, or SIG, issued a statement regarding 2 papers released by university researchers that describe ways of undermining the security of paired Bluetooth devices in specific circumstances. Last month, the workshop on offensive technologies, love that workshop, it's called WOOT, conference, a group of researchers from Purdue, the Boilermakers, also showed off several weaknesses that could allow attackers to spoof a device that had been previously paired to a Bluetooth low energy protocol. And in May, researchers presenting at the IEEE Symposium, Security and Privacy showed off a similar attack that abuses a flaw in the specifications to allow impersonation of paired devices. So essentially, they're uncovering, because Bluetooth is so complex, there's vulnerabilities that allow people to pretend they're a device that was previously paired to your phone and possibly do nefarious things, pull data off, or run arbitrary code. It used to be difficult to research Bluetooth because the hardware was closed and tightly controlled. This is a guy named Oren. Recently, it's been getting much easier to hack Bluetooth because you don't need customer radio platform or special technical skills. I don't know if you probably do need special technical skills. Nice thing about this article, it links to 3 different attacks: the Bluetooth low energy spoofing attack, the Bluetooth impersonation attack, and BLUR, blur tooth. So if you want to read more about these attacks, you obviously can. So really, they're using the ability for your phone to remember devices that have been connected in the past to connect your device. Using these attacks, you can impersonate Bluetooth devices, inject data into connections between Bluetooth devices and their controllers. For example, fool a motion detector, take devices offline, or make them unusable until you reboot them. All of the attacks assume physical proximity, so they can't be launched across the internet. But certainly, if your adversary can get near you, you should be careful. So obviously, these are going to be very, very targeted attacks. Or, on the other hand, they may be targets of opportunity. Somebody's hanging out at a coffee shop and they just are bored and they want to do something silly, so they can do this. Article goes on to say, unfortunately, as it has been with previous Bluetooth bugs, sysadmins face a nightmare of attempting to patch all vulnerable devices. And that's only if there's a patch available. It's also unfortunate that standard users of mobile and other devices will not patch their devices if and when a patch comes available. You ever talk to your friends about patching their Bluetooth? Have you ever looked at your Bluetooth to see if it needs to be patched? You know, a lot of times like iOS and Android device will tell you when there's patches that are available. The problem they're having here, the problem these guys are saying is, you know, the community at large, these are pretty heavy hitters. IEEE, Purdue, there's some pretty groups that are specifically focused on Bluetooth, Bluetooth special interest group. These folks saying it's hard. These folks that know Bluetooth really well are saying it's hard to patch Bluetooth. It's hard to keep Bluetooth secure. We use Bluetooth all the time. Everyone with one of these smartwatches is more than likely using Bluetooth. I remember back in the early days, Bluetooth was cool. What you'd be able to connect a mouse to a computer. Good deal. Good on you. You can put headphones will connect to your phone. Awesome. But now there's a myriad of devices. So many things use Bluetooth. Heck, the Philips Hue light bulbs now have Bluetooth radios in them, along with the other radios. So yeah, we have to worry about Bluetooth. We have to patch and update things. You know, think about it. It's funny, and I think I talked about them when we talked about those Philips Hue light bulbs. we're at a day and age where you have to think about patching and updating your light bulb. Think about that 10 years ago. I got to patch my light bulbs. Got to run an update on my light bulbs. Crazy as that sounds. So yeah, that's what we're saying here. Keep Bluetooth. Be aware. I know a lot of people do this. When you connect a device, you go through all the pairing, and then you don't use that device anymore. Maybe you get rid of it. Maybe you just it gets old and you get something new. Go into your Bluetooth settings and forget that device. Usually that's what iOS says. You forget the device. That reduces your attack surface. If you only have 3 or 4 Bluetooth things, it's harder for the bad guy to get in, right? They're gonna have to use one of those three or four things. And if there are 3 or 4 things that you constantly use, like maybe you've got headphones and a Bluetooth watch, and that's all that you connect to your phone, and they're always connected, then it makes it really hard for the bad guy to get in that way. So reduce your attack surface by getting rid of those. It's the same old story we always say. If you're not using it anymore, take it off the system. Same thing with apps. If you're not using those apps anymore, get them off there. Take them off there. Delete them. Remove them from your phone, your tablet, your computer, your laptop, whatever. Craziness. Ugly locker is up. So our last big story of the day. Mount Locker ransomware joins the multi-million-dollar ransom game. We've talked about this before. Ransomware will continue to proliferate as long as people are paying ransom. And in my opinion, in Jim's opinion, this is not the official opinion you should stand on, as long as they keep their MO, their modus operandi, the same, where they steal the data and then they encrypt the data, it is hard for corporations to not pay the ransom. It's not that I don't want them. It's not that I want them to pay the ransom. I know that if people stop paying the ransom, ransomware attacks will go down. That's just the supply chain economics, right? So as long as people are paying the ransom, as long as they're using the same techniques, more and more people will get into the ransomware game. So a new ransomware operation named Mount Locker is underway, stealing files before encrypting them and then demanding multi-million-dollar ransom. Starting around the end of July 2020, Mount Locker began breaching corporate networks and deploying their ransomware. Great. Thanks, ransomware. Another player in the game. From Ransom Notes shared with bleeping computer victims on the Mount Locker gang is demanding I'll try, hold on. Thank you, Illy Coffee. From Ransom Notes shared with bleeping computer by victims, the Mount Locker gang is demanding multi-million-dollar ransom payments in some cases. So you wonder what they look like. I'm going to make this bigger. Here we go. Hey, thank you for contacting us. At least they're polite. You can get your decrypted files back, and we'll keep your private information in secret. Just one thing is necessary. Only one thing, guys. You have to pay $2 million in Bitcoin regarding the instructions we'll provide you on demand. Please note, all your attempts to decrypt files, change them can cause unpredictable damage to your information. We hope we can reach an agreement as soon as possible. In case you won't make payment, your information will be made public. Your clients and business partners can be involved in a huge scandal and lose sensitive data. This is an example that was provided by the article, obviously in the show notes, if you want to look at it. So this is what they're saying. So $2 million, and they've got your data, right? So now you're at a point. So they're going, if this attacker is going after $2 million, they know the person they attacked, the organization they attacked, has the ability to pay $2 million, or else they wouldn't ask for that. Big payoff. So, for encrypting the files, Mount Locker will also steal unencrypted files, threaten victims that the data will be published if the ransom is not paid. Kind of the standard template that Maze set. For example, Mount Locker told one victim they stole 400 gigabytes of their data. If they're not paid, they will contact the victim's competitor, the media, TV channels, and newspapers. I think all those last things are the media. Ultimately, the victim did not pay, and their data was published to the leak site. I think there's I didn't put a copy of the leak site. Not much to see. Mount Locker news and leaks, announcements, and partial dumps. You go out there and see. The leak site currently lists 4 victims, with only one having files leaked. So that means the other 3 of the 4 victims either haven't paid yet or already paid the money, and their files are not going to be released. A lot of times I have conversations with people that say, okay, if you pay the money, what's to stop them from actually leaking the files anyway? And really the only thing that's stopping them from doing it is that once they do that one time, that threat goes away, right? Once they release the files one time after they've collected the money, then that threat of releasing the files, the ability to get the money for that goes away. Because if they're going to release the files anyway, what's the point in paying the money? So as long as they continue to not release the breached files for organizations that pay, they will continue to go down the track of getting paid for this. Because that's really what they want. They don't want to breach. Their goal is not to release the files. They don't care about releasing the files. They care about getting the money. That's what they care about. So as long as they follow this path of you give me the money, I don't release the files, that becomes a valid way out for organizations that get caught in ransomware, right? It was only recently that Malware Hunter team discovered a sample of the Mount Locker, which allowed us to get a bit more insight on how the ransomware operates. Michael Gillespie, who analyzed ransomware, told Bleeping Computer Mount Locker uses Cha-Cha-20 to encrypt files and embed an RSA 2048 public key encryption encrypted. That's the so RSA 2048-bit encryption key is what they're using to encrypt this. Huge key, a gigantic key. From our analysis when encrypting files, the ransomware will add an extension to the format .manual.id. For example, 1.doc would get an encryption name 1.doc manual.c77bff8c as showed in the encrypted file below. They show a little picture of that. The ransomware will register the extension in the registry. So when you click on the encrypted file, it will launch the ransom note. Whoops, that's not the ransom note. That's the ransom note. And it's just a text document telling you what to do, where to go, and they have a channel that you can go talk to them to negotiate payment. To run things across Tor so that they can get it. Tor is simply a chat service that they're using to negotiate the ransomware or ask questions. Unfortunately, the ransomware is secure, and there's no way to recover your files for free. Sometimes some people will figure out how to decrypt these things. They'll publish keys, decryption keys that will allow you to decrypt some of these ransomware attacks. In this case, they're locking your files up. They're locking your files up, and you're not going to get to them. So the way to get around that is have our 3-2-1 plan. 3-2-1 plan for backup to help mitigate these ransomware attacks is 3 copies of your backup. So back your critical stuff up 3 different times, different ways on 2 different types of media, and having one of them offline, at least one of them offline. So you got to have backups. And if they don't steal your data and you have backups, You can tell them you're not going to pay the money. You're just going to recover your data yourself and go back to work. So you got it. The first part of this is have good backups. The second part is don't let the bad guy in the first place. And we know currently, everything I've read, there's 3 main ways they're getting in and causing these ransomware attacks. One is open RDP sessions or RDP connections on the internet, on the network. 2 is VPN software that is not patched and secure. And 3 is social engineering, right? Now, under that is a whole bunch of other different ways. If you have software that is not patched and it can be reached from outside that allows remote code execution, you're done there too. So there's a bunch of ways underneath those 3 main ways. But those are the 3 main attack vectors we're going to talk about. You know, that's how they're getting in. The 3 main ways they're getting in, that's the 3 main ways they're getting in. There's a bunch of other ways too. So once you fix those first 3, they're going to go for other stuff. So it's a continual game of continuously patching, continuously updating, continuously securing our networks, following good security hygiene. If you follow all the good security hygiene, like yesterday we talked about the new 853 revision 5 came out. If you implement the controls that are required for your level of risk, most of these attacks go away. That's why I'm a big proponent of the RMF. The RMF is nothing more than a framework to implement controls through the SDLC and then through the system's lifecycle, through O&M. That's why I like it. It's simple. And then we take and we tie it to the NIST control catalog, 853, and that gives us the correct controls to implement to secure our system based on its level of risk, right? So if we have risky systems, they get more controls applied, as you'd expect. If you have less risky systems, if you have less sensitive systems, they get less controls applied. That's balancing security and risk. That's what it's all about, guys. That's what it's all about. So that's our locker. We got through all those. Today is National Comic Book Day, right? So that's your water cooler talk. I know we missed that yesterday. We missed the water cooler holiday. National Comic Book Day is a super cool day. Share a comic book with a friend today. This is different than Free Comic Book Day. That's in May sometime. Don't know anyone who doesn't like a good comic book. Comic books are great for reading. A bunch of stuff you can do. I put a link in there that talks about Comic Book Day. What I want to know from you guys, tell me this. Drop a comment below. Generally, people fall into 2 groups. People fall into the DC group, or they fall into the Marvel group when we're talking about comic books. Are you a fan of DC comics, or are you a fan of Marvel comics? And if you like both, which one do you like more? Do you like capes? That's DC. Or do you like non-capes? That's Marvel in my Marvel in my book. So that's what we got going on. You guys, if you want to listen to this, obviously if you want to listen to this without the video, you can go get it on your normal podcast environment. iTunes, Stitcher, Amazon, wherever. But if you can join us in the morning, it's going to be awesome if you could join us in the morning. Be part of the conversation. I want to hear what you guys got to say. If you can, subscribe, share with your friends, like, comment today. Let me know what you think of ransomware, what you think about these patches, what you think about Marvel and DC. Marvel or DC, which one is it? Which world do you live in? Marvel or DC? Anyways, take care of each other. Take care of your friends, family, coworkers. Have a good weekend. And as the Bravos are going to tell you, go get some. And we'll see you on Monday morning, bright and bright early, 7:30 a.m. East Coast time. We'll see you then. Oh, we got a late breaking story here. Alex and I were speaking yesterday and brought to my attention CNA changed to SNA. Want to make sure I heard Alex correctly. Yeah, certification and accreditation went away when RMF came out. And it still hangs around. I don't personally, the folks that built RMF wanted people to call it RMF. It really did. A lot of people use A&A, assessment and authorization. S&A, I'm not sure, Alex, what is S&A? I've not used that one. Is it security and authorization, or what's S&A? I'll hang out because I know there's like a little bit of a delay. I have not used the term S&A. If this new one, that's why it's great to talk to you guys, because there's stuff that I don't know that I'd love to pick up too. And I don't know. Hopefully Alex hasn't dropped off, because I know we're closing up. S&A or A&A? I'm gonna hang out one little bit here because I know it takes a while to get out and get back across the interwebs. I don't know. Looks like we'll have to follow up with that. Eric, I always go, since RMF came out, I have tried to follow the party line and call it the RMF, just the RMF process. Some places don't go for that. They want a shorter term. The shorter term I've always used is A&A, which is assessment and authorization, which are really the two big pillars in the RMF process. We do everything from a system owner's perspective up to getting the system ready, and our first hurdle is getting that assessment done. Our second hurdle is getting our authorization, right? So that's what we've always called it, assessment and authorization, or A&A. S might be security and authorization. Yeah, CNA's gone away though. The old original 4-step process that was 837 before revision 1 was certification and accreditation. So we certified a system and then someone accredited it. That was the two steps. It was 4-step process, but there was kind of 2 chunks. We certified it to being in line with the controls and secure, and then we accredited it. Now it's assessed and authorized. But we'll have to get back. I guess it's Alex may have dropped off already, so we'll get back to you, Eric. We'll owe you that one. I think it's A&A. Maybe if it is S&A, I'd love to. We'll talk about that on Monday, I guess. We didn't talk about 853 today, but we'll put that pin on that one, and we'll talk about that Monday as well. That'll bring it right back around to this topic. Eric, if we fall off that topic, we forget to talk about it on Monday, please bring it back to our attention. Cool. All right, and that will take us to the bottom of the show. You guys be good out there. We'll see you Monday. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Love to hear you find out if you like Marvel or if you like DC. That would be cool to find out. Let's see you on Monday, guys.